Hey everyone, welcome back. Of course, here with Kurt. Pretty crazy announcement. The QYOU and Chatterbox launched a new platform. I'll let Kurt intro it in a second. But first things first, Kurt, how are you?
Good, man. I'm pumped. I'm
Yeah,
super excited about our new Bharat Box.
yeah. No, hey, let's dive into it right away. I mean, first things first. Like a lot to unpack in that release. Do you want to first introduce kind of what Bharat Box is?
Yeah, the thing is that because I know it was a little hard actually even to get this release to sort of explain what it needed to explain, because there's a lot of stuff in there that might be well known within the India environment that's lesser known here in North America. But before I even get to that, there's a reason that companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook have invested, billions and billions and billions, over, $25 billion in the last 12 months into India. And the main reason behind that is exactly what Bharat Box is all about: tier 2, tier 3 India. What does that mean? That's Bharat. Bharat literally means India in its most literal sense in Hindi. Like if you looked up if you Google Bharat meaning, it would say it means India. But what it really means is it means the heartland. It means my country. It means the core. Okay, and so Bharat is frequently used in India to describe things that are about that main core, that main central part of India that's not in the big urban centers. It's sort of like if you talked about Canada. Canada isn't just about Toronto and Vancouver and Montreal. It's about a lot of the stuff that's in between those places. If you talk about the United States, it's not just about Los Angeles and New York City, it's about what's in between those places. And that's what drives a lot of the economy, that's what drives a lot of the change, that drives a lot of what's happening. So in India, and this is very true of third world countries, same thing happened in China, is there's a massive emerging middle class there, meaning a massive emerging group of people that are going to start spending more and more money. There's also in those areas, by the way, an emerging upper class, because there's so much money that's coming into those areas. There's an upper class that's building there as well. So in India, what they talk about a lot, I mean, you can read about this. A lot of people will talk about the next billion consumers, literally using that word, the next billion. Well, India is 1.3 billion people, okay? 1.3 billion. Well, 300 million of those people live in major urban cities. I mean, Mumbai itself has 35, 40 million people in it, okay? So there's these giant top 5 or 6 urban, what are called the metros in India, that make up that 300 million. Well, what about the other billion? What's going on with the other billion that are there? Well, that's the emerging part of India. That's the growth part of India. That's where this massive economic thing is happening around e-commerce, around retail, around real estate, around every faction that you can think of a country where people are coming out of an impoverished level and entering the middle class, or in some cases higher than that. So what Bharat Box is all about is that we are really, really well positioned to dive into that market with special programs and things that we can offer on a platform basis to advertisers, brands, e-commerce opportunities, et cetera, that are happening in the heartland, in that mid part that drives the real economic growth of the country. And so what's interesting, and what people may not realize, is a huge amount of our GRP growth, probably 70% of it, 75% of it over the last 4 months that we've had this 45 GRP rating. It's been driven 70 to 80% out of that heartland, out of, what I would call here middle America. I don't know what you call it in Canada. What I would call in India, what you would call in India the Bharat, the core, the heartland. And so Bharat Box is a platform that offers an integrated marketing opportunity for brands and advertisers that leverages the QYOU, this channel that's getting 100 million people watching it a week now. So 70 million of those are coming out of the Bharat locations. And we've got Chatterbox that has this very fast growing set of influencers and creators that it represents, manages, works with, et cetera, for brands that hit that same area. So what tier 2 and tier 3 India is not those giant megalopolis, 40 million people cities. It might be a city that has 1 million, maybe 2 million people, maybe 800,000, which in India is considered a small city. And all of the surrounding rural area that surrounds that place. And that's where this emerging middle class, upper middle class is happening in India. And why, when you see the heavyweights, the Googles, the Amazons, the Netflix, the Facebooks, they're going into India because that's where people are getting smartphones for the first time. That's where people are getting broadband and fiber to connected TVs, et cetera. And that's why that's why we're so pumped about moving into this economic opportunity.
Yeah, so much passion. An interesting analogy, the next $1 billion or billion consumers, not $1 billion. Just the amount of people, hear people talk about, other countries and, getting a few extra. This is 1 billion people in India, and, pretty exciting. I'd love to dive more into kind of the business if we want,
Yeah.
maybe more detail. So, I know this question, came up. I'm stealing it. What's the difference from a, offer to a brand from a, normal kind of tier 1 versus tier 2, tier 3, or a major city versus some of these smaller cities? What are you seeing brands looking for or other advertisers looking for that you guys are saying, hey, we can help?
Well, I think, one of the big things is that everything that we do as a business, as people are, aware of, unless they're hearing this for the first time, is driven by influencers and digital content creators. And there's a different breed of digital content creators and influencers that are the most popular people in tier 2, tier 3, rural, Bharat, India, than there are necessarily in the metros. So where you might have a comedian or a personality of some sort online that's kind of hipper and edgier and cooler in a more, I'll call it sophisticated, or just an urban style edgy sensibility that's not as popular with kind of mainstream. That would be the word I would maybe use, is mainstream. And so we have a lot of shows and programs that we have on the channel. And we have a lot of influencers that are represented now under the Chatterbox umbrella that appeal more strongly to that mainstream, middle, sort of middle ground type audience. And so if we have a product, it doesn't matter whether it's, Pepsi or Amazon or, Oil of Olay or Pampers, it doesn't really matter. Whatever that product is, we're attaching the right influencers and the right programming that we know from all the BARC ratings and all the data that we're getting. We go, okay, this one, the data on this one says that it outperforms in the tier 2, tier 3 Bharat level cities. We know these influencers outperform in the Bharat tier 2, tier 3 markets. Let's put those together for an integrated campaign so that we're really striking these people with the people that they want to listen to, that they get influenced by, that they like to watch. And so when we put that all together on a platform, there are no influencer marketing companies in India that have a television channel. They don't exist. Okay. We're the only ones. So we're the only ones that have this programming that's featuring all these types of people, that also has the ability to stretch that across social networking. And, the thing is people have to realize, and I've said this before, Facebook's #1 country in the world, India. Instagram's #2 country in the world, and soon to be its #1 country in the world, India. TikTok's most important country in the world until they got banned by the government, India. Okay. YouTube, 10% of all YouTube views in the world happen in India. Okay. So we're in this spot where we're speaking to an ever growing and ever committed audience to this kind of social chatter, social connection and interactivity. And so when we start to create programmings on the channel that have quizzes, that have capabilities, you click on a QR code. When you click on a QR code off the screen, they can take you to a commerce destination immediately. Okay, these types of things that we can create that are creating some interactivity and communication, that's where there's a huge opportunity for us. And by the way, this isn't like this is a one-of thing that happens between now and next Saturday. This is a whole campaign deck integrated offering. That's the first big thing that we've put together. I mean, this is part of when we started talking to Chatterbox, what we knew one of our goals are. Well, Bharat Box for us internally marks the beginning of rolling this out.
Some good teasers for what might be coming. Very interesting. Obviously people be able to scan QR codes and kind of the e-commerce side put on top, but I want to remind people, you guys get 100 million eyeballs a week looking at your channel. I know we haven't done a rating, kind of viewership chat in a while, and maybe we should. But I see that question out there. 100 million people for those that are Canadian. Almost 3 times the population every single week watching the Q. Extremely exciting, and so obviously bursts a lot of these cool opportunities where you guys can see data, you can work with kind of advertisers and really find a great fit for them, which I think is extremely exciting. Anything you wanted to add to that or add about this release?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just, with what you were saying is look, we've basically hovered plus or minus around 45 gross rating points, 45 GRP for 4.5 months now, and that's super critical, super important, because what happens is now it's just like, oh, well, maybe these guys hit that for a week, or maybe they're there for 2 weeks or even a month. We start to get into 4 months, you're starting to go, okay, maybe they're actually, this is where they are. People have to understand too, we do a lot of experimentation. We're always experimenting. Let's see if we put this show into this slot. Let's try to put these things together, et cetera, et cetera. But we've also achieved that without the full profile of distribution and without any major marketing behind it. We have just hired our new head of marketing in India. We're just starting to really push out some stuff to push new programs and shows that we're launching. I can't talk about all that right now, but there's a lot of this stuff has happened, I guess I'll say, organically to this point. A lot of it, including ad sales, including everything. So now we're sort of at a different level. Okay, now we've been there for 4.5 months, going on 5 months now. It looks like this isn't just a fluke. This is real. This is stable. Now, how do we grow that to 50 or 55 or go even further than that? That's what we're constantly working on. So as all that's happening, advertisers are coming to us and saying, how do we work with you guys? What can we do that's special? What can we do that's unique? Okay, well, that's why we started Bharat Box. Now we can come in and say, okay, well, here's what you can do that's unique. Let's do something for your brand that does what's always been the holy grail for us, that crosses all these different platforms. That's good for the brand, and frankly, it's good for us. It provides maximum monetization of whatever the opportunity is. And so all of these things, work together. I feel like sometimes, we came out with such a barrage of stuff for a period of time there that people go like, okay, what's now? What have you done for me lately, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, look, maybe that was all about, we shot the rocket and we landed on the moon. Well, guess what? Now we got to set up camp on the moon. And, that takes a little bit of time. You got to build the building and make sure it's there. And now we're going to go out and colonize more stuff and explore. That's sort of the place we're at right now. What we're all about is, we've got a huge opportunity that's right here, right now, to solidify our brand and business in India. And that's where our focus is. But don't think for 1 second that every minute that goes by that we're not looking about how we lever that up to take advantage of the position we're in. Because we're in a very unique position. I mean, it's very unique. That's what I just said. There's no company in the country of India that has a massively popular television station married with a massively successful and popular influencer marketing capability. So those two things are what's going to drive our business over this next year or two. And there's a lot of stuff that you'll be see getting announced along the way that we'll be talking about, no doubt.
Hey, well, look, congratulations first to yourself and the team. I know, hey, that trip to India, I'm sure this was a part of it, and obviously lots of things in the works, and thank you for coming on and doing little videos like this. Lots of teasers for things that hopefully we get to cover soon. And I invite anyone with questions, please drop them below. We'll do a little Q&A video coming up. But Kurt, thanks so much for joining. This is an awesome video.
Yeah, great to see you, Jason. Yeah, and let's do a Q&A. That'd be great. Let's do a Q&A video here in the next week or two.
Perfect. Well,
Okay,
you
man.
heard it from the boss. Put him below, and we'll make sure to get it soon here. But
Okay.
Kurt,
All
thanks so
right.
much.
I'll see you soon, Jason.